Hi guys, it's Rob from Royal Balls. Let's get this latest hatchling handling video out. I'm going to draw some conclusions, and the conclusions are definitely my own preferences and bias. The bulk of this video is going to be showing some snakes, which is always good. I always enjoy showing off my snakes, and most of them are going to be free roaming. And yes, I do free roam my hatchlings. I find this extremely advantageous. They develop all sorts of adaptive behaviours when they learn a little more about their environment, and they do stuff that they don't do in their tubs. Handling, I have found, can ruin all of that. Now, by handling I mean forced handling. This is when we deliberately reach in the tub and pull the snake out and force it into a handling session that it does not consent to, and that always comes with negative consequences, sometimes far-reaching consequences. We left our subject hatchling in a state of overhandling and stress. It was refusing to eat, it was refusing to come out of its tub, it was refusing to free roam, it was refusing to do many of the things that the hatchlings that I've left alone and haven't touched are doing quite naturally. So overhandling definitely has downsides. Handling while free roaming, by contrast, is often something the snakes don't even notice. They are willingly participating in an activity, and handling is incidental, and they don't notice. This is always far more beneficial to the snake than actually wrapping it around our neck or carrying it around the house or just handling it for handling's sake. I've said this many times before. I'm going to reinforce it again with my findings from these handling experiments. Snakes do not like to be handled. There is no benefit whatsoever to the snake in being handled. However, there is benefit to the snake in being enriched, there is benefit to the snake in allowing it to explore, and there is certainly benefit to the snake in allowing it to use its sense of smell to figure out what's going on in its immediate surroundings. These are all things which go towards making our snakes confident, adaptive, able to adapt from tubs to terrariums, and to submit to a degree of handling. You do not need to handle your snake every day to make it compliant to handling. You can see how some of my snakes respond that are never handled, but when they're free roaming they submit to it quite willingly, and it isn't a stressful experience for them. Now, I'm not saying don't handle your snakes, certainly not. We need to be cognizant of the stress diagram and allow time for our snakes to recover between handling sessions. Some handling sessions are not stressful, such as the ones that you see on this video, where the snakes are free roaming and barely notice that they're being handled. Some handling sessions, as you've seen in previous videos of the forced handling of our subject snake, are actually extremely stressful for the snake, and we can see negative impacts of that very, very quickly. So I do feel that free roaming is instrumental in providing the snake an opportunity to learn more about the environment in which it lives, and therefore to learn adaptive behaviors. It makes the best use of the environment in which it lives. And you can see here the snake is actually interested in going down into the bin and doing that smelling of other snakes in the room. And here it doesn't actually notice the fact that it's being handled. This handling here is not stressful. The snake doesn't even notice. It's purely incidental to the activity that is taking place, as opposed to forceful handling, where we lift the snake out of its tub and actually handle it without giving the snake an opportunity to participate in some other activity. So I feel this sort of handling session, if you want to call it that, is actually beneficial to the snake. It's not forceful handling. We're allowing the snake to free roam and participate in an activity which it does willingly, and the handling part is just incidental. We're an object to crawl over or to use to get to something else that the snake is interested in. And I don't think that that form of handling is particularly stressful. Whereas if we pull the tub out and actually pick the snake up out of its tub and force it to participate in handling, that can actually be very stressful for the snake very quickly. I think that sort of handling needs to be avoided. You can see here that I'm actually having to handle the snake to put it back into its tub, and it is actually very reluctant to go back into the tub. It does seem to want to continue this free roaming activity, but is not displaying any signs of discomfort or stress. So I'm going to reiterate again here that snakes actually do not like to be handled. However, free roaming, I think, is advantageous in helping the snake to adapt to the environment in which it lives and to demonstrate adaptive behaviors and accelerate its development towards that ideal condition of a snake which is not shy and fearful and can easily adapt to different environments such as terrariums versus tubs. So I'm going to include a clip here of a snake that is out free roaming, never handled, but it is a very cool snake. This is a leopard freeway, so yellow belly asphalt, brilliant looking snake. But this is an example of what you can expect from a snake that is never handled. They willingly participate in free roaming. It is demonstrating adaptive behavior here. I have no doubt that this snake would actually transition to a terrarium without any problem at all. But as you will see, when offered the opportunity to be handled, the snake refuses. Snakes do not like to be handled. By forcing a snake to endure handling, you are habituating the snake
Here you can see the snake actually rejecting being handled. Leave me alone, don't touch me. But the snake is actually still fully engaged in free roaming. It is not shy and fearful, it just does not want to be touched. And forcing a snake under these circumstances can habituate a snake to accept handling without flinching, but that also comes with other behavioral inhibitions. You may find that your snake refuses to come out of its tub and participate in free roaming like this snake is doing. Once the snake is engaged in free roaming, you can actually touch the snake without realizing that it's being touched. And here you'll see I offer assistance to the snake to get it down to the bin. Oi, come and help me down to the bin. And I am just something the snake can use to assist it in getting down to its objective. The handling is actually incidental. And once the snake has got down to the bin, the snake is like, okay, leave me alone again. I do not want to be touched. So you do not need to handle your snake in order to make it compliant like this snake is. This snake has never been handled before. Doesn't need to be handled on a regular basis to make it compliant. It just needs to be offered an opportunity to engage in an activity that it wants to participate in, and it will allow itself to be handled as part of that activity. Handling for handling's sake, wandering around with a snake draped around your arm or draped around your neck, is not something that actually benefits the snake. It can be done as long as we're cognizant of the level of stress that we're inducing and allow the snake plenty of recovery time before the next forced handling session. We do not want to inhibit innate behaviors through forced handling. Overhandling or habituation can actually suppress a snake's natural behaviors, and this would be bad. Overhandling is what we did to our study subject initially, and we found that he would not come out and free roam. He was very reluctant to come out of his tub, and that was as a direct result of forced overhandling.
And this boy yesterday, it was Harry Ryer, and we had some guests round who had kids and they wanted to see some snakes, and this is one snake that I showed them, and it was feeding day yesterday, and after the kids had been running around here in the snake room, this boy refused to eat. So I'm going to feed him today, 24 hours later after he'd been rested. The other snakes that we looked at did actually eat, although their feeding response was nowhere near normal. But this guy actually refused, so he still needs to eat. I'm going to feed him now. So there's the difference, guys. Just 24 hours later this guy wants to eat. So just put that in the memory banks. How easy it can be to put off what is actually a very well established and robust eater and stop him from eating just by allowing strangers to handle him. They recover quickly, but they are quite sensitive and easily put off. So I'll leave him to finish his meal now, 24 hours late. I'll let him finish his meal in peace. I do not recommend habituating a snake to handling. I do not recommend completely suppressing its natural instincts to be afraid by consistently handling it and habituating it to that handling. Yes, it will cease to be afraid of handling, but it will also compromise some other behaviours that we may not wish to compromise in our snakes. I'll leave you to be the judge of that based on what you see in the video. Alright guys, so yes, I am definitely not in favour of forced handling. I do handle my snakes, they get the opportunity to free roam, and when I do handle them I make sure that it's in a minimal stress situation for the snake. I'm always very aware of what the snake is getting out of a handling session, and in most cases the snake is not benefiting whatsoever, and if the snake is not benefiting, it's not worth doing from my perspective. Snakes do not need to be handled on a regular basis to be compliant or to submit to handling. They naturally become calm and less defensive with time and with adaptive behaviours formed through free roaming. No need to handle them to make them much more compliant and confident. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to share, like and subscribe. Stay tuned for the upcoming videos. There's a lot still to come, and we'll see you next time.